I'm just going to check my stress level.
Wow.
I have, oh God, no! My stress is going to shoot through the roof. I just got a text in this exact moment, from Ernesto Torres for St. Augustine Beach Commission.
Yeah.
Who somehow has gotten both my email address and my phone number, even though I don't share his politics. He lives presumably in our neighborhood, but he has all of my personal information.
Wow.
I don't care who he's running against. I'm definitely voting for the other one. Let's see how my stress has changed now that I received that. I have a band now, incidentally.
Look, I think the idea of buying an electronic device to attempt to monitor your stress level is a fool's errand.
It's very circular. A careful listener would notice that I had obvious health anxieties.
Yeah, I don't think this is actually going to make that any better. I don't think you'll find any reassuring news to be reassuring, and it gives you a new thing to obsess about.
Well, I got a 52 just now. Is that good or bad? Is that good or bad? I think it's moderate.
It's city business. It's city business.
Well, it's this is the episode that's going to come out on the Friday before the election. This is our election special episode.
You've been tricked.
You've been tricked. And we thought we'd devote a couple minutes to one of the most highly contested races nationally. That is the County Soil and Water Commissioner.
All right, District 4 Soil and Water Commissioner, tell me about the issues and tell me about the candidates.
All right, so the two candidates are Brenda Stratton and Charles Owen. It's not technically a nonpartisan race. I noticed even growing up in my hometown that for like these minor local not that it doesn't have a big impact, but for these minor local offices, when you go and like read what their interests or platform is online, it's almost always one of them will be like against abortion, even though they're running for soil and water commissioner.
Yikes.
I haven't dug deep enough into these people to make a good assessment about that, but I did look up their party affiliations. Brenda Stratton is the Democrat and Charles Owen is the Republican here. Charles Owen appears to be endorsed by some real monsters on our county commission.
Is one of them the guy who said we shouldn't have masks and then got COVID?
Then almost died of COVID. Yeah, that's right. Strong endorsement.
As long
there.
as that guy's on his side. I mean, he has excellent judgment, clearly. And then voted against masks again after getting out of the hospital for COVID.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, what a hero.
So the local paper just profiled them today. They have a picture of Charles Owen holding a cabbage, which, as we all know, is how to indicate that you're a person of the people.
Yeah, I attempted to do research on our soil and water candidates a while ago, a couple weeks ago, and found that neither of the candidates seemed to have a website for their campaign.
Yeah.
So
I think that's right.
It's not a very serious race, I guess.
So Charles Owen, known as Chuck Owen, is actually a local farmer. He has owned and operated, quote, multiple businesses in the county. So I don't know how much farming he's doing, but he likes to fancy himself as a local farmer. He is a member of the Florida Farm Bureau, a former member of the North Florida Potato Growers Association. And he manages the Barnes Farm in Hastings. So he has a strong farming background, it looks like. I've got to say that Brenda Stratton doesn't appear to have any experience at all.
Fair enough.
Has not held any sort of office and has not worked in agriculture or, anything environmental or whatnot. Her "why do I want to do this job" reads like, I'm a good leader. I want to do some leadership stuff. And you know what, listener? I'm still fucking voting for her instead of that other guy.
Well, to be fair, I also did a little research on our local Soil and Water Commission to see, like, what have they been up to? What are their projects? And their website minutes for their meetings have not been updated in over a year. So I don't think they do jack shit.
Might not.
So it doesn't really matter.
I mean, it seems like it's an important job in this county because
yes,
anywhere it would be, but like not only are they dealing with water quality, but they're like, in particular, we live on the beach. They deal with like issues of erosion, which are really important and big around here.
Not so important that we can't let people drive their giant trucks right on the beach and really churn up that sand.
Well, that would infringe on freedom. So yeah, I mean, the like beach erosion here has been a huge problem, and they should be involved in that. They should be involved in, and this is according to their website, the control of invasive plant species. We've talked before about some invasive animals around here, those brown lizards that are everywhere.
Did we tell people about our frog situation?
Oh, no, I don't know.
We have invasive Cuban tree frogs, which happen to be very cute and shockingly large.
Yeah.
And one of them got into our house, I suspect, through our toilet, because that's what the internet says.
Wow, we should
sometimes
inform the Soil and Water Commission about that.
The internet told me that they crawl in through people's toilets, which I found shocking and upsetting, if true.
They would have had to travel through a pipe?
The sewer? Yeah, I don't know, man.
Wow, what a wild ride for that frog.
I mean, I don't know how else it got into the house because, again, it is huge.
It was huge.
It couldn't just sneak in through a little crack.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, very strange.
Like maybe, 5 or 6 inches? I mean, it was as big as my hand, this frog.
Just hanging out in our home.
So I don't know if we talked about that before, but now you're up to date on all the hot invasive species news we have in our home. But no, I don't know about Florida's invasive plants.
But anyway, they're supposed to be dealing with that. That's a good thing to talk about maybe in the future. We should do some research on.
Yeah, we should educate ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if those fucking cucamelon knockoffs are not an invasive species.
We're going to find out next year when a huge patch of volunteer cucamelons rises from the ground and we have to mow them down to keep them under control.
Yeah, so according to the Soil and Water Commission website, they're responsible for the invasive plant control. They're also supposed to help people get funding through the Farm Bills program if they have some sort of conservation project they want to get going. They do surveys and mapping. They're supposed to do outreach, but I don't know if that's ever happened. Do you remember? I went and looked up the Soil and Water Commissioner race back in Durham, where we lived before. And when we lived there, incidentally, the Soil and Water Commissioner was like a hip, young environmental scientist who, I knew through Ginger, actually. And I looked at the race, and again, it's like a bunch of Duke grad students, people with some serious background in this stuff. I mean, I guess that's what you get in a college town, but it's amazing that I don't think 15 or 20 years ago, people in grad school were running for local offices the way that they probably are now.
Yeah, I think that's a really promising recent development in the last few years.
I agree. And I want to make a distinction. I think that if they were running for city council in Durham, I'd be I don't think these are the people who should be making decisions about the city. These transient people who are, all advantaged largely. But for a job like Soil and Water Commissioner, that could be done best by a person with
pursuing a PhD in environmental science.
Yeah.
That seems like a great person for that job.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, here it's Brenda Stratton who wants to be a good leader, and Chuck Owen, who I think is just friends with people on the county commission.
Well, I think I know who's going to win.
Yeah, I also do.
But that aside, this is why, even if you're not very excited about the races at the top of the ballot, you should vote on your whole ballot.
Yep.
If the top of the ticket doesn't motivate you, go all the way down to the bottom and find something that will motivate you.
Yep.
There's got to be someone on there who isn't a complete disaster.
Somewhere.
There's got to be something you care about enough to go to that extra. I have nothing coherent to say. Look, man, we don't live in a good place.
We're not in a good place, yeah. You should go and vote and then ideally burn some stuff down. The other election story we wanted to touch on is the Senate race in Iowa.
Oh, yeah, there is some hot ag news out of this has to be the most viral ag moment of the last decade.
Yeah.
The two candidates for the Iowa Senate seat had a now viral debate moment.
This is Joni Ernst is the incumbent. I don't even know who the challenger
Teresa
is.
Greenfield.
Teresa Greenfield.
I don't know if we can insert the audio of this moment onto the podcast here because it's truly a delight.
Sure.
My question is a simple ag question. Teresa Greenfield, you answer first. What's the break-even price for a bushel of corn in Iowa this week?
Well, a bushel of corn's going for about $3.68 today, $3.69, and break even really just depends on the amount of debt someone has. I suspect there's farmers that are breaking even at that price. However, if their yields are down 50%, that's certainly not going to cover it for them. I'll tell you, we've had low commodity prices for too long, and they've been going out of business prices.
Senator, break-even price for soybeans for an Iowa farmer to produce.
Yeah, certainly. I would like to go back to previous statement. Certainly, with what we have done on trade, we have seen significant strides forward. So the USMCA is a great example of that with our two largest trade partners, Mexico and Canada. So I am thankful that we are well on our way to correcting the situation within our trade space, and that was done with a Republican Senate and a Republican in the White House.
Well, thank you very much. I might have missed it, but I don't think you answered my question. What's the break-even price for soybeans in Iowa? You grew up on a farm. You should know this.
I think you had asked about corn, and it depends on.
I asked her corn.
It depends on what the inputs are, but probably about $5.50.
Well, you're a couple dollars off, I think, here because it's 10:05. So, we'll move on to something else then.
The moderator asked each of them to name the current price for a bushel of one of the two main farm commodities in their state. Joni Ernst, the incumbent, happens to also serve on the Senate Ag Committee. So in addition to being from Iowa, she serves in a Senate position where she should really know. Yeah, she should at least have the basic facts delivered to her desk on a weekly basis.
You mean a good follow-up should have been was, like, maybe you don't know the day-to-day fluctuation in cents, but if you asked her, can you name it within $5 or something like that?
And she could not.
Did they say that?
Yeah, they asked her, so Teresa Greenfield was asked, what's the price of corn? And she named it spot on, I think, to the penny, basically.
Wow.
And then Joni Ernst was asked, okay, the same question, but for soybeans, what's the break-even price on soybeans right now? And Joni Ernst made a series of pained faces and then decided to pretend she was having technical difficulties and couldn't hear the question.
Oof, that's rough.
And then when she was pressed on it and the moderator kept asking, she said $5.50. And he was like, well, it's $10.50. And then she resumed pretending that she did not hear the question.
Oh, God, that's brutal.
And then he repeated it again and said, do you want to try again? And she said, no, thank you.
Incidentally, it looks like as of August anyway, which is the most current thing I'm looking at, the unit price of corn per bushel was $3.08. and soybean prices per bushel were $8.64. So she was off by like $3, which is extremely significant, I would say.
Well, and I mean, the moderator had said what the day's price was.
Yeah,
so it was
sure.
even. Anyway, very embarrassing. And this video has been retweeted, I think, millions of times because it's very funny to watch her pained expression as she realizes she does not know the answer at all and is going to have to figure out some way to bullshit her way through this. And you know what? She could have just said, I don't know the exact price, but what I do know is blah, blah, blah. It's not high enough.
What I do
Farmers
know
need
is-
more money. I don't know, say some bullshit to convince people that you care about them instead of doing
Gotta
this
pivot
bizarre...
to abortion. You gotta pivot to abortion. Well, let's hope she's fucked, everybody.
Oh boy, I would love to see Teresa Greenfield mop the floor with her just based on knowing the current price of corn. Oh yeah, speaking of corn, I read a story a few weeks ago about how, so apparently different types of popcorn use different types of corn.
Yeah.
Which shouldn't be surprising, but it's not something I'd ever really thought about before. So movie theater popcorn is made with one particular type of corn, and
That probably you would think maybe it keeps better, or
I think it's actually about the texture. So for example, the texture once popped. So there's a strain of corn that's better for kettle corn, and it has that sort of round shape and firmer
Sure,
texture
yeah,
when it's popped. And the movie theater corn is meant to be extremely fluffy and
you gotta have a lot of nooks
craggy.
and crannies
Yes.
for that movie theater butter, that hydrogenated whatever it is.
Yeah, that buttery flavored liquid. And there's another type of popcorn that's used for microwave popcorn. And so farmers who've been growing popcorn for movie theaters, well, movie theaters are not open and they're not selling big buckets of popcorn that everybody can reach their little hands
Grubby little
into.
hands, their little paws.
So those farmers are having to pivot to microwave popcorn or other types
I'm
of corn
shocked.
for the
You would
next
think-
growing season.
You would think that people looking to have popcorn at home would be trying to replicate the movie theater experience and would welcome those types of popcorn.
Very few people want to pop popcorn on the stove anymore.
Oh, you might need a commercial popper or something to do it.
I think you would at least need some sort of home air popper to do the job, or be really good at popping it on the stove or something.
Okay, so this kind of popcorn might not pop in a microwave like we want it to.
Yeah, I think that the bags and the instructions for microwave popping are fine-tuned for the particular type of popcorn that they use for that product. So I just thought it was interesting to think about different popcorn having different qualities that makes it applicable for different uses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because when you think about it, like, oh yeah, if you get a caramel corn or a kettle corn, it is really round. It is a different corn, but I'd never really thought about it.
What kind of popcorn do you think is in when you at Christmas you get one of those canisters that has divisions inside of it, and it's divided into thirds, and one is butter flavored, one has cheddar powder, and the third has caramel?
I think the article even mentioned something about
Is that its own special popcorn?
I think the butter and cheese ones are the same type of popcorn, and those are maybe their own even separate type. And the caramel one, you'll notice, is rounder, more like the kettle corn type, to hold up to that thick caramel syrup that's applied to it versus a powder.
Wow, really seeing how the sausage is made here.
So that's all the corn news.
There's probably more. But
There probably is. But that's all the corn news I know about today.
All the corn news that's fit to tell. All right, we have not been growing corn.
You know, I've never tried to grow corn. My family did when I was a kid.
So did my family.
And
or my grandfather did.
We found that the backyard space we had for it was insufficient to actually set. Like
Sure.
it just didn't pollinate and produce corn.
Well, what is in our garden?
Then let us cultivate our garden. It's the only way to make life endurable.
What's in the garden?
All right, what else besides cucamelon is happening?
You know, the chayote is doing great.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I decided, I mean, we'll see if this decision pays off or not, but I decided to let it grow up the palm tree that's in our backyard
Oh, very cool.
because it's got that bark that's really great for stuff
climbing,
to grab
yeah.
onto and climb. Oh, you know what? I think I even mentioned that it was growing on the palm tree last time, but it continues to do so. It looks really healthy and nice. I don't know what it's going to do over the winter if we have a winter. It's still 90 degrees here.
It's hard to imagine it could ever be anything else.
And I'm also thinking it might be time to harvest a few sweet potatoes and see what they look like.
You have to dig them up to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great. You think we can grow garlic here?
That's another thing I've never really tried to grow because it's so cheap.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you want to grow exotic types of garlic, if you want exotic garlic, growing it yourself is probably the way to get it.
The way to get it. Today's catalog is a pretty niche catalog. It is the Filaree Garlic Farm 2020 catalog.
All garlic all the time.
Yeah. They sell a few other things that you would, I don't know, sort of expect to see around garlic. We'll read some of those descriptions on the CD short for next week.
Their business is selling slips and starts, basically.
Right.
Asparagus crowns, garlic, potatoes, shallots, sweet potato slips.
Yeah. The vast, vast majority of stuff is garlic. So their Who We Are section reads, Filaree Garlic Farm has been an independently owned grower and supplier of premium quality garlic seed for 30 plus years. Certified organic since 1977, our mission is to collect, preserve, and provide others with the opportunity to grow our more than 100 varieties of garlic. We serve organic gardeners, plant nurseries, commercial growers. In recent years, we have added additional seed crops, shallot potatoes, sweet potato slips, are featured in the color insert. We are committed to providing the same quality seed with these new offerings. Their catalog's cute. At the end of it, they sell some apparel. And I've got to say, I'm very, very tempted to get us that green t-shirt that's on the second to last page. They call it Garlic Gothic. It's like the American Gothic painting, but the two people in it, their heads are made out of garlic. You know, the picture with the pitchfork and everything.
I'm partial to the t-shirt right below it that is a picture of a goat with a garlic growing out of its head where horns would be and a little sign that says scapegoat. That's pretty great.
It's pretty charming. So,
do our listeners know about your beliefs about goats? Have you admitted
I don't
this
think so.
in public?
I was reared on the idea that goats, I mean, we all know that goats they have a broad palate. You know, many people will get goats to clear out their yard of plant growth and whatnot. Instead of mowing a lawn, you can just get a goat to sort of handle your overgrowth. I sincerely believed into our relationship, which means into my 30s, that goats ate tin cans.
I put that right up there with your belief that snails were not real. You also believe that snails were a mythical beast that did not actually exist.
Yeah, I thought...
like a unicorn. It was like a slug with a shell. That can't be real.
Right. And to be clear, I knew about slugs and had seen slugs and believed in slugs, but I just thought that a slug with a shell was like, that was fanciful.
These are two of your weirder beliefs.
Yeah. I mean, also, let me just note that it's not like once we discussed goats eating tin cans that I refused to, like, I hadn't considered it carefully since my childhood. I had been going on that, like, tacit belief. When I thought about it, I knew it couldn't be true. But I hadn't critically examined that prior in, like, 25 years.
Well, once a cartoon shows you enough goats chewing on
Why
tin
are they
cans,
always eating tin cans? It's their preference. They can eat a lot of stuff, but what they love to eat is tin cans.
I think the joke actually relies on you knowing that goats don't literally eat tin cans.
Well, okay, yeah. Fair enough.
Right? If goats literally ate tin cans, it wouldn't be funny for a cartoon to show goats eating tin cans.
Yeah, well, good point. Anyway, this catalog it's cute. They have a couple pages at the beginning that I actually really liked where they really lay out all the parts of garlic.
The plant and the bulb.
Yeah, they have a garlic anatomy 101. Do you want to read some of these parts?
Yeah, I love it. So at the top of the scape, called the top set, is the umbel capsule. And the parts of the umbel capsule are the beak and the spathe, which is the flower cluster and eventual bulbils. The flower stalk is called the scape, as mentioned, which often makes a loop, which they've depicted. And the false stem, which is the collective leaf sheaths.
It's also referred to in their anatomy section as the pseudostem, which I like. It appears to be an above ground stem, but it's actually a collection of overlapping sheaths of the leaves.
And then they show a view of the bulb with a cutaway into a single clove.
Mm-hmm.
And inside the clove, they call out the cavity, which contains a sprout leaf. You know, sometimes you get one of those green sprouts inside your garlic clove. That's the sprout leaf. And they've got the true stem of future plant, true stem of old plant, the basal plate, which is the underside of the true stem, abscission scars.
What is that?
Abscission scars are where the leaves came off.
Oh, okay. I mean, we all know that part of when we're peeling garlic, but I guess I didn't know it was that.
And they point out that the clove skin is actually a specialized leaf sheath.
Well, let's read some descriptions. Some of their garlic categories are Asiatic garlic, hardneck not braidable, turban garlics, standard purple stripe garlics, glazed purple stripe garlics.
Whoa.
Which I've got to say, as a cartoon of a garlic shaman, it looks like, which I wonder if maybe that's a drugs thing. Like glazed purple would be a good weed strain name.
Yeah, I mean, that cartoon garlic is pretty intense.
He looks like he is high, definitely. He's wearing sandals, has a staff.
A staff made of a garlic scape.
Yeah.
His body and head are a head of garlic, and then he's got sort of a grass skirt that is the roots of the garlic bulb.
You would agree that he looks like he has dreadlocks or a dreadlock.
Yeah, I mean, he's got braided leaves coming out of the top of his head.
Yeah, actually, probably we should mention the other. At the bottom of that page, there's a cartoon of garlic being chopped on a cutting board and anthropomorphized garlic seeing it and being alarmed and running away. Just a classic gag. There's another cartoon where those two same anthropomorphized garlics, this is on page 26, they're on a countertop with a cutting board and knife, a jar labeled pickled garlic, a jar labeled garlic paste, and a bag of garlic powder. And they are perspiring, and one of them looks like he has been made so nauseated by this that he is going to vomit. Do you agree that's what's happening?
Yeah. It's a deep horror.
Yeah, there's a real body horror to it. What do you think's going on at the bottom of page 28 in that cartoon, which is a sort of midsummer?
Oh, for sure. That is some kind of a solstice festival. So there's the sun is high in the sky, but the sun is a head of garlic radiating light. And then there's a giant wolf howling. Even though there's a wolf howling at it, I'm sure it's the sun and not the moon.
Yeah.
And then there's a circle of garlic cloves with arms and legs. And they're each carrying, they have different musical instruments, or they're carrying scapes of garlic or feathers. There's one blowing a horn, one shaking some maracas.
Yeah.
One of them has a tambourine. And they're marching in a circle,
Doing some pagan shit.
celebrating a pagan garlic-based holiday. Well, I just love the illustrations in this catalog.
Yeah, they're great. All right, let's get into some descriptions.
I'll start with standard purple stripe. Named because of the bright purple streaks and blotches on both bulb wrappers and clove skins, the purple stripe varieties are attractive garlics. They are also very flavorful, usually winning Best Baked Garlic taste tests conducted by Rodale, Sunset Magazine, Martha Stewart, and others. Most strains have 8 to 12 cloves per bulb. Cloves are noticeably tall and crescent-shaped. They store slightly longer than rocamboles and peel almost as easily. Purple stripe plants are distinctive because their leaves grow at a wide angle to the stem. Flower stalks may make perfect 270-degree curls that leave bulbal capsules floating and bobbing in the air like birds in flight.
Love it.
These plants are so beautiful that they are sometimes used in landscaping, and the tops used in floral arrangements. Chestnut red, our best purple stripe in performance year after year. A great cooking garlic, it retains flavor and texture. Very large bulbs that average 9 to 10 easy-to-peel cloves. From Chevlesi, Republic of Georgia. One of our best baking garlics.
Boy, there's nothing they could say that would make me want to get that garlic more than easy to peel cloves.
But if you're baking it, it almost doesn't matter how easy the cloves are.
That's true,
to
yeah.
peel.
I think we're both in agreement that we hate all of the tools that humanity has invented to supposedly make garlic peeling easier.
Yeah, garlic presses are
They suck so bad.
more work than just peeling and cutting the garlic, I think.
Yeah.
And don't at me about how pressing the garlic produces a different flavor than chopping it.
Fuck that. What I do is before I chop, I put the side of the knife down on the clove and give it a whack.
Yeah.
To get some of that juice going.
Yeah, I mean, of course you want to bruise it. Everybody knows that.
Oh, okay.
But you want to really
thought I was
smash
being
that
savvy.
garlic. But I just don't think cleaning a garlic press is ever worth the effort.
Horrible.
Persian Star. Vivid clove wrapper colors. Outer bulb wrapper, sometimes smooth white, but inner wrappers purple streaked. Red-tipped cloves with marbled streaks on whitish or yellow-brown background. Very pleasant flavor, mildly spicy, but not too sharp. Purchased in Samarkand at an Uzbekistan bazaar in the late 1980s by John Swenson.
Wow. I mean, it's wild that this is like a lot of varieties.
It really is. And they've got another 4 varieties of standard purple stripe and then on to the glazed purple stripe, a purple stripe sub-variety.
Yeah, can you believe it? I'll read the general description for the glazed purple stripe, which is the one that has the high shaman adorning it. Glazed purple stripe includes 5 beautiful strains that appear purple stripe in all respects, except that bulb and clove colors are a royal purple tinged with a subtle shiny gold and or silver hues. Cloves are not as tall and elongated as standard purple stripes, and there are fewer cloves per bulb. They mature slightly sooner than standard purple stripes. They've got one called the Brown Tempest. Purple bulb splotches, brown cloves with a hint of rose blush and no stripes. Average 6 cloves per bulb, with nice shape and size. Raw garlic has initial hot taste that mellows to an earthy finish. They've got the purple glazer, which they sell in bulk at a 5-pound limit. Fat cloves with almost satiny clove wrappers. Substantial bulbs with papery clove wrappers. Something about the phrase fat cloves sounds really good and feels really good to say. It's like a fat nug or something, I don't know.
Yeah. They want you to know this garlic is dank.
Yeah. And then there's the red raisin, which is similar to purple glazer. Bulb color dark glazed purple with the tinge of gold from south of Moscow. Strong lasting flavor, but not hot and no aftertaste.
And then they have marbled purple stripe.
Incredible.
A purple stripe subvariety. There's so many purple stripe varieties.
Yeah.
Kabar. This garlic is mild and creamy baked, good in mashed potatoes. It also has a nice flavor raw, with the heat easing into a burst of flavor. Collected from Khabarovsk, Siberia by Alaskan grower Bob Ellis. Siberian. An outstanding strain originally secured by fishermen trading green leafy vegetables with poor peasants who grew only root crops. 5 to 7 fat, dark brown cloves.
It's amazing how many of these strains came from, like, Russia or Siberia. I guess I didn't realize that that was a big garlic-producing region.
Artichoke. Softneck, braidable. Artichoke strains are very vigorous and large-bulbed. Plants are shorter than hardneck varieties, with a wider growth habit. The leaves are broader than any other variety. Artichokes are named for their configuration of several overlapping layers of cloves, reminiscent of the true artichoke. Many artichoke strains have 3 to 5 clove layers, containing 12 to 20 total cloves. Bulb wrappers are coarse and thick, often with light purple blotches. While artichokes normally do not produce a seed head, they may produce large bulbils that protrude from the lower third of the stem. When stressed, artichokes can produce scapes and hardnecks. Cloves planted from these bulbs will usually revert to soft necks the following season. Artichokes may lodge, fall over, a week or more before harvest due to their weak necks. Some artichoke strains produce large, round, symmetrical bulbs. Others have a knobby, asymmetrical appearance. Clove skins adhere fairly tightly, one reason for their long storage life.
So it's good for garlic to have a thick neck, like the rock.
Well, I don't know, because I think the soft neck is what makes these braidable, so it really depends on what
you're looking
want.
for,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you want to read some of the artichokes?
Sure.
Chet's Italian Red. Originally selected by Chet Stevenson from an abandoned garden site in Tonasket, Washington in the 1960s. Good raw, not overpowering. Does not do well when overly wet in last month before harvest.
Wow, it was salvaged from an abandoned garden site. Then they have the rocambole garlic, which are hardneck, not braidable. These are the most widely known, hence the most widely grown of the hardneck garlics. They have a deeper, more full-bodied flavor than softnecks. Rocamboles produce large cloves which are easily peeled, making them preferred by chefs and food processors. Their loose skins, however, give rise to their major disadvantage: a shorter storage life than most other varieties. By the end of January, most rocamboles show signs of dehydration or begin to sprout. Longer storage is possible if bulbs are well grown and well cured before storage. Clove colors range from tan to brown. Double cloves are common in some strains, as well as clove wrappers that do not fully form around the cloves. Rocambole cloves are usually rounded and blunt at the tip. Most strains average 6 to 11 cloves in a single circle around the stem. No other garlic variety forms tight loops of 1 to 3 coils shortly after the scapes appear. The stalks later lose their coils and stand straight up as they turn woody. All hardneck varieties have flower stalks, but they form wild random coils or broad sweeping curls and arches rather than tight coils. We've often talked about how we're envious of our cat's loose skin.
Oh boy, I bet it feels so
It
good.
looks like it feels so good to have loose skin. Wait, so is the rocambole the standard garlic that we know and love? Something that stuck out to me as I'm looking at all of these fucking crazy garlics is like every garlic in a store is the same pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's true with a lot of vegetables, is that there's just one variety that you're going to find in your supermarket.
And it's going to be the variety that keeps best, and that's the only criteria.
I think sometimes I see grocery store garlic that's got purple on it, and sometimes
Do you?
some that does not have any purple at all.
Huh.
But I can't remember the last time I saw grocery store garlic with a little purple on it. That might be only when I shop at like an Asian grocery store or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Spanish Roja, a Northwest heirloom brought to the Portland, Oregon area before 1900. Many connoisseurs believe that when well grown, Spanish Roja's flavor best describes true garlic.
True garlic.
Yugoslavian, strong but not overwhelming flavor. Initial heat mellows to a warm, sweet aftertaste. From Dhaka Barinka in British Columbia, deep green plants, dark brown cloves.
It would be fun to do a sort of a garlic tasting, I think. I'd enjoy that.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we would pull that off
Yeah,
because
I don't
I
know.
don't think we live in good garlic growing country.
Yeah, I don't think we could grow, but maybe we could buy. Let's read from one more category. What about the silver skins? Silver skin garlics are a high-yielding variety and do well in a wide range of climates. Hot southern, wet maritime, and cold northern climates. Plant growth is more upright than other types. Leaves are often narrow and pale green despite healthy plants. Silver skins rarely produce flower stalks in mild climates, but may when stressed by cold winters or drought conditions. Bulb wrappers are fine and smooth, usually all white with a satin-like appearance. 3 clove layers are common. Total cloves per bulb vary from 12 to 20. Outer cloves are usually flat and wide, while inner cloves are tall, narrow, and concave. Silver skins have long been the most popular garlics for braiding because of the smooth, shiny skin and symmetrical shape. These are the last garlics harvested and may lodge, which I guess means fall over, a week or more before harvest due to their weak necks.
I think this is what we see in grocery
I
stores.
think you're right.
Nootka Rose, a well-colored strain, a Northwest heirloom from the San Juan Islands off the Washington coast. From Steve Bensel of Nootka Rose Farm in Waldron, Washington. Cloves streaked pink on mahogany background with solid red clove tips. Colors fade in rich soil. Medium to large bulbs and very attractive braided. Strong flavor.
There's the Sicilian silver. Original source unknown. Even baked, you'll experience full complex flavor. Raw, it starts mild, then explodes! Exclamation point. Sneak attack! Exclamation point.
I mean, I like the idea of a garlic sneak attack.
Yeah.
That sounds delicious.
I'm shocked that more companies don't do this, but they have, it's on page 30 here, a chart, the variety comparison chart, where they put their big categories, the Asiatic, the turban, the Creole, the purple stripe, the glazed purple stripe, the marbled purple stripe, the porcelain, the rocambole, the silver skin, and the artichoke. You know, there are rows and columns where for each of those varieties, they tell you how many cloves per pound, how many cloves for bulb, how long they'll keep in storage, how tight the clove wrapper is, ranging from tight to loose. The bulb color, the clove color, the flavor note, the maturity, whether it comes in early or middle or late, the scapes, you know, the hardness or softness of the scapes, and the climate that they each prefer, which I think is a really useful way of presenting that information.
Yeah, that's very handy. I guess if we want to try growing garlic at any point, we should aim for those mild southern, or no, better, the hot, humid southern option, which is the Creole garlic, which we've not read from, but is a silver skin sub-variety.
Well, this climate is nothing if not warm and humid. We should finish up here, but have you been getting the same emails from Burpee as I have?
Telling me it's time to plant garlic.
Yeah, in like increasingly alarming terms. I've been getting tons of emails from Burpee urging me to not wait another minute before planting my garlic.
Yeah, I think I get a couple of garlic-related emails from Burpee each week.
Yeah,
now.
I don't know
for
what
the
their
last
deal is.
2 or 3 weeks, they've really been all in on garlic.
This is the most urgent that their emails have seemed to me. I'm looking at garlic on the Burpee site right now, and I'll just leave you with a garlic we didn't read a description of, but it's called Music. Say music garlic. I'll read you their description. It's full-flavored, rich aromatic flavor. Makes this one of the best known and most sought-after varieties. It's one of the hardiest garlics, easy to grow in most climates, with some indication of disease tolerance, which is damning with faint praise. It's named after Canadian grower Al Music.
Who I imagine looks exactly like that cartoon shaman garlic bulb.
Can you imagine a variety being named Music? But it's not because it's like elegant or whatever. It's because it was named after Al Music. It's a hard neck. Anyway, there's somebody who, in the reviews, who won a judge's choice at the county fair, and they put a picture of their garlic with the ribbon around it. It's on like the sort of paper plate that you get a slice of pizza on, and if you're in New York City, which is a weird presentation, but I guess it's an award-winning garlic at that county fair. There are 3 reviews in a row. I'll read you them. The first one is written by Warb 2017, 5-star review titled Infallible.
Well,
Poked them in the ground on Columbus Day and harvested garlic in early July. No effort, flawless. The one below that by Gallo Greens is a 1-star review titled Sucked, Didn't Grow at All. I planted 2 garlics. The other one was fine. This one didn't come up. Then the third one is from CASF Gardner, 3-star review. Adequate.
Wow, there's really no consensus.
Yeah, no consensus. Infallible, sucked, didn't grow at all, and then adequate.
Fascinating. I wonder if it is highly dependent on climate. So those people had just totally different experiences.
Their review is, I cannot yet sing the praises of the music garlic, the Al Music garlic, as I have not yet harvested and tasted the yield. This is flowery language.
Sing muse of the spicy, pungent taste of fresh garlic.
That's right. 3 stars.
Of garlic and the man I sing.
All right, well.
Where can people find us on the internet?
Oh, yeah. You can follow us on Twitter at @CDBusiness or on Instagram at CDBusinessPod, or email us at cdbusinesspod@gmail.com. You're welcome to suggest catalogs for us. We love that. If you write us a review, no matter how insulting, we'll read it, certainly, on the podcast. And if your thin little soft necks haven't snapped and fallen over, you should eat your vegetables.
We're all just doing the best we can.
Speak for yourself.
It's CD business. It's CD business. Boring talk about seeds, CD talk between boys. Mind-numbing chatter about ovals and spores. We'll take a ditch and one bone and split the difference. It's CD business.